Hi everybody, welcome to Art and Psychotherapy. In today's video, I would like to introduce you to a very personal practice of mine, which you might also find very useful and enriching for your personal and spiritual life. I call this natural metaphors. And before I describe the practice per se, I would like to talk to you a bit about the roots of this practice. In theory, if I come to think about it, the practice per se can be rooted in the Transcendentalism. And Ralph Waldo Emerson is a very good representative for that. He believed that there is an oversoul, there is a common energy that flows through all things, even through himself. And that by connecting to nature and feeling nature, one can connect itself to that very spiritual feeling. And also, nature is treated as a symbol of the spirit. So in a way, natural elements can speak to us if we can listen, if we can decipher their messages to us. Now, the second root for this would be Saint Evagrius Ponticus. Now, he was of Greek origin, he was a Christian monk, he was one of the most influential theologians of the church in the 4th century, and he was a thinker and a writer, and his last years he spent them in Egypt, in the desert of Egypt, where he also wrote many of his teachings. What Evagrius Ponticus did was to combine the practice of monastic traditional ascesis and the theory of contemplation. And he was a very good psychologist for the 4th century, of course. And although the terms he uses are very religious, we can find a resonance in today's concepts. Today we use other words, other expressions which are more scientific, but nevertheless there are some common threads there. For Evagrius Ponticus, he says in his writings that there are 3 types of thinking. And of course, I as a psychologist was very intrigued. This is a person in the 4th century, living in the desert as a monk, dedicating his life to God, and who has this insight about human thinking. And he says that the 3 types of thinking are thinking coming from the devil, the devilish thinking that is typical to humans, and thinking that is typical to angels, the angelic thinking. Now let's get a bit into detail of this. For him, the devilish thinking was the one in which man's mind is corrupted by using objects and natural elements and people to their own benefit, towards greed, towards being rich, towards their own satisfaction. Seeing things just for what they can be used, and just that. And I find here an utilitarian perspective. So in the 4th century, this was called a devilish thinking. Now, the angelic thinking is more about a metaphorical thinking. You look at things, you look at natural elements, and you try to grasp the why behind them. Why does it grow like this? Why does it form like this? Why is it taken? How is the process of transformation all along until you get the final object? And he gives the example of gold. An angelic thinking would be thinking about how gold is forged inside the earth, how it dwells there in the darkness, how it is worked upon by man, how it is taken and transformed and washed and burnt in fire and melted and then transformed into these beautiful crowns or into glasses or into objects of worship in the Christian era, and how they are connected to God. And the human mind is somewhere in between the devilish way of thinking and the angelic thinking. So while the devilish one is very utilitarian and greedy, the angelic thinking is metaphorical and also objective, but also trying to connect that with the purpose of its spiritual side. The human mind is in between and going either to the left or to the right. And striving is to keep a balance and to cultivate more of the angelic thinking. Being dragged into the world and in using people and objects and natural elements for his own good, he's compelled to develop in himself this thinking that is rather metaphorical, rather symbolic. So this is the second root of the natural metaphors. This is when I read this, I instantly felt like, oh, this is so rich. This is truly spiritual richness here in this conception, even though the terms per se might seem a bit off to us nowadays. And the third root for natural metaphors is actually in my own childhood, when I felt really connected to nature. And I remember always looking at plants. I was in school, I was looking at plants, and I was wondering, look how we take care of this plant in a pot. So our teachers, they would invite us to water the plants and take out the leaves that were withered and take care of them overall. And I thought, the way I'm taking care of this plant is also the way I'm taking care of myself, or how a person should take care of herself. You give water, you give nurturing, you take out the bad, you take out what's not working, you're taking care of it. And I felt very close to this thinking, that's this dual thinking, so the objective but also the subjective. The objective side, the plant in the pot, with its biology and its constitution and its necessities, but also the subjective part, the one where I said, what can I learn from it? What can I learn from these actions? What more do they mean? So as I grew and I found out about Transcendentalism and Ralph Waldo Emerson, whom was very dear to me in his writings, and then when I found out about Evagrius Ponticus and his early psychological thinking, in the terms of those ages, I feel very compelled to develop this in a practice that fulfills me and that is kept over the years. This is what you can try to do if you want to practice natural metaphors for yourself. And I will divide this in steps. So step 1 is to choose the object of your exploration. Now either choose a symbol, a natural element that has come to you in your personal art therapy exercises, or in your dreams, or in your active imagination exercises, or even in your meditations, and something that you've seen on the outside, a beautiful flower that has drawn your attention, beautiful natural phenomenon, a rock maybe, or a person, or an animal that has drawn your attention. So the first step is to choose the object of your meditation. What do you want to explore through natural metaphors? Once you have chosen, the second step is to notice it. Get a closer look. Look at the fine details, look at the visual details of it, the fine lines of the flowers. Look at the movements, if there are. Look at the details of its position. Look at the stage of life it's in. Is it almost withered? Is it just a bud? Is it in full bloom if it's a flower? Smell it, touch it, feel it, get in contact, in real objective contact with it. Third step would to meditate on it. Imagine you are becoming the flower. Imagine you're becoming the cone, the rock, the leaf, or whatever you choose. Feel its energy, and with your imagination, also take into account its interior construction, like you were feeling it from the inside. Feel its moods, its needs, its direction, its overall energy. And also ask yourself, what part of your body does it resonate to? And if it were to give you a message, what would this message be? Now, sure, you can note this message down. The fourth step would be to document yourself. Keep the feeling you had and continue by looking more in depth. You can do your research on the internet or in a book and find out objective, clear information about it. Its uses, its evolution. What stands out to you the most from this information? What can you learn from it, from your own life? What is relevant from this to you right now? And the final step is to connect to the object of your meditation through art. So you've connected through your senses, you've connected through your feelings, you've connected through knowledge. Now connect yourself to it through art. And give a representation of your overall experience and let out your mind and be spontaneous. See what images and symbols show up. They all speak to you about a part of yourself that has resonated with the natural element. And I will give you an example now of the chicory flower. Let me know and write in the comments in the community the objects that you chose to explore with all your senses and with all your knowledge and with all your heart and with all your insight and intuition. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe.